Mike Mayock just recently went, about a week and a half ago, went on the Chris Long podcast. Okay, we all know the failures. Why are you talking about an old regime like Mike Mayock? They're gone, him and Gruden. Well, again, a lot of us want to know what happened. A lot of us want to know. See if I can get that to move up. There we go. A lot of us want to know what happened during his time. There's a lot of draft picks and a lot of things that went on behind the scenes that we technically don't have answers for. But Mike Mayock went on the Chris Long podcast and addressed a few or a good amount of some of these things. And let's talk about it. All right? Some of the highlights from this podcast are, and let me just read the text. Mike Mayock was on the Chris Long podcast, and he had some interesting things to say about his time with the Raiders. One of the things that he said John Gruden had the final say in everything when it came to drafting. Remember that was a headline? Everybody was like, you know, Mayock is not making the draft picks, that it's going to be John Gruden. All the draft picks are going to be Gruden. They're not really going to be Mayock. Mayock's going to give input. Will he actually make any of his own picks? Well, Mayock announced that John Gruden had the final say in every pick when it came to drafting. So, our answers were confirmed that Gruden had a hold of this team. Again, does that mean Mayock said, hey, I think this player's good, and then Gruden said, all right, I agree. He had the final say no matter what. Mike Mayock, he also said he tried trading up for both Nick Bosa and Quinnen Williams. And he also tried to trade down. That was when he had the 4th pick, I believe, for Clelin Ferrell. He said he also tried to trade up to get Nick Bosa or Quinnen Williams. And he also tried to trade down, but no one wanted to move up or down. No one wanted to move up or down at that number 4 spot. That's because nobody was interested in Clelin Ferrell. And now he went on to state, Clee was my guy. I was wrong on Clelin Ferrell. Well, let me be honest with you. Raider Nation knew it. We all knew it in our reactions. The experts knew it. And you tried to trade up to get Nick Bosa and Quinnen Williams, which meant Clelin Ferrell was lower on your board. Clelin Ferrell was lower on your board. But you had to stay at the number 4 pick and pick somebody, and you went with Clelin Ferrell. And you're admitting you were wrong. But didn't you just say Gruden has the final say? Are you avoiding throwing Gruden under the bus with that statement? Taking accountability? Because if Gruden has the final say, Clelin Ferrell was his pick. I'm just being honest. He might have been your guy, Mike Mayock. He might have been your guy, but he was picked by Gruden, according to your statements. A little bit of hypocrisy right there. But hey, it's good that you're admitting that you were wrong. Clelin Ferrell, I believe he's gone. He's a member of another team now. Wish him the best. But we all saw it, Mike. We all saw it. And we all knew. You should have. But blame it on Gruden. He had final say. Just being honest. You also wrote that you liked Josh Allen a lot. We also looked at Ed Oliver. Those were the other 2 guys in the conversation at 4. You're doubling down on ridiculousness. You just said you tried to trade up for Nick Bosa or Quinnen Williams. Now you like Josh Allen and you liked Ed Oliver. And those were the other 2 guys in conversation at number 4. Again, that means Clelin Ferrell is down on your board at like 5, 6, 7, 8th. And you went with him because it was a position of need. And then also you said that you were thinking about picking up Josh Allen. Was that because Gruden was still wavering on Derek Carr? So the rumors were true about Derek Carr every year possibly being cut or traded, that Gruden didn't like him? Why would you even mention Josh Allen when you had Derek Carr on the team? It's because he was in the conversation at number 4, as you just stated. That just proves that Gruden and you were 50-50 or 60-40 with Derek Carr being your starting quarterback if Josh Allen was in the conversation. Good to know. Good to know. I took phone calls on teams trying to trade for Derek Carr. What? Again, I don't know if this is during that draft or at the end of the season. I believe this was at the end of the season in 2021 after we went to the playoffs. But I'd have to go watch the podcast again. It's not quoted here. But let's pretend it was the draft. Let's pretend it was Gruden's draft and your draft. I took phone calls on teams trying to trade for Derek Carr. He was worth more than a first-round pick. Oh, at the end of the 21 season. Okay, we're talking at the end of the 21 season. That's before Josh McDaniels became the coach, and that was like around the time Mayock was fired, etc. This is after we went to the playoffs. Okay, so you took phone calls before McDaniels was hired, and he was worth more than one first-round pick. So that means Derek Carr was being sold, or you were getting offers for at least 2 first-round picks at the end of the 21 season. Derek Carr could have got a huge value for Josh McDaniels. Did Mike Mayock relay that information to Josh McDaniels? I doubt it. There was no communication. Josh McDaniels, I'm going to stick with Derek Carr. I'm going to give him a contract. I'm going to try him out. I guarantee you, knowing what we know now, that Derek Carr was benched, this and that, Josh McDaniels, if he knew this information, would have went out and traded Derek Carr for at least a first or second rounder if he had this information. Or did this just prove that Josh McDaniels knew the value of Derek Carr and still said, I know I can trade him before the season even begins, but that'll make Raider Nation mad at me. I want to test him out, but I can get a first rounder for him. Because Derek Carr's value did not go down after the 21 season. It went down after he played for Josh McDaniels. Let's get that right. Derek Carr's value went down after he played for Josh McDaniels. That's why they couldn't get anything him for him, a trade or whatever, because they knew they had to bench him and release him and blah, 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 blah. But going into the season, Josh McDaniels, if he knew Derek Carr's more than one first-rounder value, he should have made the decision to trade Derek Carr then and there and got a first-round pick for him and whatever. Instead, he did a stupid experiment that he wasn't already trusting in Derek Carr, and he set this franchise back while still making the decision to get rid of Derek Carr. That shows you coaches don't communicate properly, they don't strategize properly, they don't get all the details, they don't call all the other teams, they don't parlay all their options before they start playing on the field. It just shows that Josh McDaniels has no plan. He had no plan coming into the season. Oh, Darren Waller needs a contract. Oh, I guess we'll give him a contract. Oh, Derek Carr, he's on his last year. We got to get him cheap as possible. Okay, let's extend him. But I want to give him a 1-year extension. Oh, I don't know. Bam! We lost so much value. We lost so much value in a good head coach like Rich Bisaccia, and then from an idiot coach, Josh McDaniels, misplaying his hands. We'll leave it at that. I felt Rich Bisaccia could have been the head coach of the Raiders in 2022. He had a 12-week trial. That's the biggest mistake. That is the biggest mistake the Raiders have made. Mark Davis has made. Rich Bisaccia was a man. He got that team on a winning record. He always wanted to be a head coach. The team loved him. They played hard for him through all the turmoil, the adversity, that he helped them all come together. Him and Derek Carr and everybody else. They came together. They won their final 5 games, made the playoffs, almost beat the Bengals with the final drive. Everybody wants to blame Derek Carr. That's fine. But Rich Bisaccia was an angel gifted to the Raiders, and it was a sign for Mark Davis to give him a 1-year deal going into last season. The NFL wanted it. It was a good story. It would have showed that we're building from within, and that he's already got a chemistry with all the Raider players on that playoff roster. That was a mistake. We all knew it at the time. But Mark Davis is a clown. He wants that bright, shiny toy. And he wants Patriots to take over the Raiders. Because in his mind, his simple mind, Patriots win. Patriots win. Make a lot of money. Tom Brady wins. Patriot wins. John Gruden wins long time ago. I want Gruden. I want Patriot. I want McDaniels. I want Tom Brady. How about you want some Raiders? How about you want some Raiders? All right, and this was not in that note message of what Mike Mayock talked about, but he also talked about the money and paying the draft picks and the free agents. And he exposed Mark Davis doesn't have any money. Granted, this was the year they were in Oakland before they officially moved, but still they were in Oakland or in Las Vegas for at least 2 years with this regime. And he talked about when free agents or new contracts got given to draft picks and other, like, so if they were, if a draft pick was guaranteed like a 3-year deal with $15 million with like $6 million guaranteed signing bonus, or a free agent player got a 2-year $30 million deal with, you know, $12 million guaranteed, Mike Mayock said that these guarantees or these signing bonuses, for the most part, were 90% put onto the contract. What does that mean? Let me try to break it down into simpleton terms, because I'm a simpleton. But if a player had a $100 million deal like Derek Carr did at one point, and he was getting $40 million guaranteed, and it was a 5-year deal, that means Derek Carr was getting somewhere around $20 million a year, but he's getting 40 guaranteed. So even though he was getting $20 million that year from the initial contract, 40 of it was guaranteed. So he actually got $30 million that year, or 25, where that guaranteed money was put and placed on each additional year to equal out the $40 million guaranteed. So they separated that $40 million into those years. And that's why we still have dead cap or dead money on a lot of these former Raider players. Because again, that guaranteed money was taken as not guaranteed that first year, and it was placed on multiple years. Then that player is gone from our team. Then that money that is still guaranteed was placed on the cap, and now it's on the dead cap because that player is no longer on our team. So therefore, we still owe $5 million a year to certain players. That was part of the guaranteed money that he got when they made their official contract. I hope I'm explaining it. It sounds really weird. It just proves they're playing money games. So even though we hear the money is guaranteed, which it is, it's not guaranteed that first year. It's not even guaranteed that second year. It's guaranteed over the 5 years of the contract, or whatever the contract initially is. And again, multiple teams probably do this, but there are teams like the Rams and other teams that have richer owners that they pull that guaranteed money out of their bank accounts from their other business ventures to where they don't have dead cap, or they don't have to put it on their salary cap every year. Hence why they're able to go out and sign a free agent. Odell Beckham's available. They go out and sign Odell. Jalen Ramsey's available. They go out and sign Jalen Ramsey, because they got all that cap space that wasn't pre-allocated to that guaranteed money for the player, and they don't have that much of a dead cap. So, that was interesting for me to learn about Mike Mayock and how Mark Davis pays his players. So let's be honest, even though Derek Carr's on another team, I didn't look at the dead cap money. I think he's getting $5 million, but he's probably still owed $5 to $10 million, as well as other players. So, pretty interesting, man. It was a great podcast. I recommend everybody check it out. A lot of the stuff that we thought was true ended up being true. Some information, about the trust, the respect, Gruden, Carr, Mayock, everything. We got some answers to it. So, check out that podcast. It's a doozy. If you're a real hardcore Raider fan into the knowledge of the legacy or of the team, it's a great listen to. All right, guys, are you ready? Are you ready? It's schedule prediction time. That's right. You guys get out your pieces of paper. We're going to go over the schedule together. I'm going to pick a win and a loss, and I'm going to be brutally honest, guys. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have two scenarios. I have the positive Mikey Raider scenario, and then the guru Mikey Raider scenario.